Buenas tardes. Continuamos con la segunda sesión y la última sesión de esta tarde en el Salón Maipo.
Good afternoon. We're going to continue with the next session on the energetic resource. So we are going to invite now to the scene the moderator of this session, Pia Suarez, President of the Association of Women in Energy in Chile. Welcome. And we now welcome our next panelist, Jessica Miranda, that is the head of the Agency of Sustainability, the Energetic Sustainability of Chile, Patricia Roa, of the scheduling of the organization of Roberto as well Mendoza de León, that is the managing director of the Federation of the Mexican Republic, and general manager of the consultant agency. Welcome.
¿Aló? ¿Me escucho? ¿Sí? Perfecto. Hola, buenas tardes a todos.
Hi, can you hear me? Good afternoon. Welcome to this panel that talks about human resources as a catalyzer of the energy resources, because we know that in Latin America and the Caribbean, this is opening new opportunities. We are used to talk about energy transition from the perspective of technology, regulation, and investment, but not so often we talked about the impact of this in the new opportunities for employment, this new transition, and how the human capital can contribute to the transition of energy, and what are the opportunities. Today we are going to talk about reconversion and how we can train this pertinently from the public and private entities and peoples and employees organizations. So in this panel we have Patricia Roa. I'm going to introduce the panelists one by one. Thank you, Patricia, for joining us. She is a lawyer and official of programming for the International Organization of Labor. And she has worked a lot with social dialogue, promotion of decent work, and adaptation of the work labor world, adapting to social adaptation and well-being of the workers in the region. Besides, he has led initiatives to prevent harassment and violence in the workplace, and has also emphasized in the need of the social justice in this changing world. Thank you for being here. Jessica Miranda, next to me, is the chief of the Education and Gender Office in the Sustainability Office of Energy in Chile. This sustainability agency in Chile, it is in charge of implementing the public policies to foster efficiency and to reduce the scarcity, the poverty of energy, and to change the culture towards this through alliances in public and private world and civil society as well. Jessica is a sociologist in the University of Chile with more than 30 years of experience and focusing in public policies. Marcos, in the other corner there, welcome. Marco is general manager from a consultancy that it is from Chile and it works in Latin America and they are focused in accelerating energy projects for different parties. Can work with the due diligence, the implementation of the practices of on works and implementation, promoting the training of human capital and transparency of the salary. He went for the technical world to this section to start working with the expansion in the region, trying to work with common standards and talent mobility among countries. Also, Roberto Mendoza León, it is Mexican representative of workers in different sectors, including the energy sector. His leadership has been key in the implementation of the labor reform, and he has been working with unions. And his work has promoted fair conditions and the right to vote. He's a representative of FOS RM, that means Worker Unions Federation of Mexico, that groups 40 unions and collaborates as well with other entities in Chile, Colombia, Argentina, and Ecuador to strengthen the regional. And this is necessary for you to understand who are here in the stage, and sometimes we don't know the background of these people, and now probably you can get a better opinion of and also an idea of what they are experts in. So the dynamic is going to be that a round of two questions for each and then a final reflection. So we are going to start with Patricia, and we estimate to have 4 minutes for answering. According to the World Organization, what is the role of the energy transition in this area? You know that this organization, it is the only one that is with three parties, and actually he is one of my bosses, the unions, the workers, and the government also it's very involved. So we have estimated that the energy transition is an opportunity with no histories or similar history before. We are in the side of the optimism because we have survived and look at the opportunities in the creation of the new work employments or openings is not always in the center. And this energy transition represents this great opportunity. So I think that in Latin America and the Caribbean, and we can lose this opportunity if we do not have the training, the certification, and the human capital to comply with the requirements of this new employment, this creation of employment also suppose this decarbonization process that we have done in this region, and that can generate these 15 millions of additional employment openings for 2030. And these job positions have an impact that are very important, mostly for the countries that have this contaminant productive matrix, that it is the rule in our country, sadly. And this creation of employment is going to compensate more than 7.5 million of the depending areas of the fossil fuel. So we can choose to be dramatic about it, that they are going to lose a lot of openings for work, but also we can choose to be active and to be generating these public policies so we can work with employees and employers and also in the sector of renewable energies. This is an opportunity. And we were talking with Jessica because it's important to consider this something that it's for a half. It's not participating for what women, for example, in our continent are working and having this active participation, and also they can be part or adding to this area, manufacturing, sustainable building, transport, and finally, for the ones that are in the south, we have this creation of industries as a green hydrogen. This also talks about these new ways of working. And at the regional level, these new industries as well talk about this regional strategy. We are not thinking only for a country in particular, but to have this regional system that allows to have qualified workers that can be integrated in this industry and they can have a virtuous relation with the different seasonal workers. And I would like to finish with this second question for us. The social ecological transition and the energy one doesn't require a last name, that it is the fair word, because when we forget this word, we avoid the centrality of the human person. And for us, workers are part of this transition. And this is not only something from the technical perspective, but also we have to consider how we accompany people in this transition. It can be young workers that need training in order to start working with these opportunities, but do not forget that we have a lot of workers that need certifications of new competencies and skills, new opportunities to work with this economy, and this is fundamental. We have reached to the point of sensibilizing and raising awareness in this region. Chile has just published this strategy without forgetting that this fair transition evokes decent work and social justice. We think that without that centralization, we can take care of our planet and the people that lives in it. I think that relation of taking care of our planet and for the working people as well requires a double commitment, and that it is the will of our international organization. Thank you, Patricia. I have two things in mind. You talked about uh, well, I didn't know actually that the 7.5 millions that you mentioned, that is what is going to be lost when the fossil fuels are out of business. And To be able to do that math, it's really interesting. And as a president of Women's in Energy, I cannot ignore what you said about the opportunities for this segment. In Chile, between technicians and operators, the percentage of women's participation, it's about 3 and 4%. It is something that we have repeated a lot. As citizens, we need to be more in the field, and we have a great opportunity there for women. And that is something that it's good to highlight. Now, let's continue with Jessica. From your experience of energy sustainability in gender topics, what are the development of the policies that can demonstrate actually the biggest impact? And I'm getting out a little bit of the rules here, but we started working and were founded in 2010 in the same decree and in the same year. But in these years, you have resonated a lot. Can you tell us what are these policies, this support that you have experienced? We implemented policies of different ways, but in the area of human capital in education, I'm going to expand a little bit this topic. We have a lot of initiatives that we have developed with the ministry as well, and I want to mention a few of them. The technical certification, because one thing it is to train together with the superior education entities, but the certification, it is short-term exit that allow us to insert very quickly people in the market, and they are enabling. And that is how we have been working lately. And in this last cycle, we had a training of hundreds of people in different areas. For example, electrical, fuel, renewable energies. It's a important number for the sector, and we continue in that line. This after having the sectorial diagnosis and to survey the gaps in the different actors in different sectors. And another aspect that it's important in our role, it is to be uh, organizers, and we contribute to all the tables of human capital in the regions. We have 9 tables in 9 regions. We work with this, raising information in the territories because the energy and the topics of human development is different in each region. The problems and the need of human capital, and from that sector also we have raised a lot of information to identify the requirements of human capital. Another point, and let me go back to this topic, it is inclusion and equity. And we have done focused programs that are related to uh, people, indigenous people, people affected by coal centers that have been closed, and women. And I like to tell you something that not a lot of people know is that the industry says we want more women to install electrical panels. The requirement is that they have to be installers class B. In the whole country, we had just 40 women certified for this job in SEC 1 year ago. Of course, we are not going to make it because there were not people certified. Then, after making these focalized programs from 40, this year we have 240. And and we think also not only related to the topics of gender, but for all the young people that gets close to this energy sector, we have a program that it is telling them about the opportunities of the energy sector. And I think it is important. We want more and better people to get to add one more thing, and that is what I am most excited about. This doesn't start or begin or finish it when we start working with the government, but we have this program that starts from kindergarten. In from there, we train them in topics related to energy. We have all these story, and then we continue with the programs of human capital. So thank you. It's so interesting to know this. We have the diagnosis, but not always in the countries. We know how to do it. And I know particularly the case of the women's sect, what you said, and I have heard the testimony of some women that have been certified and how life changed for them after this. So the view of the private sector, Max, in your experience as a technical consultant, where most of the person comes from heart, from different careers. So how we speed up this with the focus on equity? First of all, I would like to comply with the protocol. I am not so political. I come from the private world, and I'm going to talk about the side of the experience and how we focus in this new world. At the beginning of my career in an NGO, there was not a lot of options. We were only the amazing amount of measures and diversification of this. And my mentor was Eric, that he was the president of the EOLIC international organization. He said our role as an NGO, it is to deal with human capital, to try to develop it and to see different sides of it, because at that moment we were just we had a very basic baseline, and we needed to try to com- convert people and from all the areas of this value chain. And from that side, we saw that the market itself was pushing. It's not only the romantic ones, it's a market that push and reconverted people. And we have tried to adapt to different kinds of personnel, and there are some strategies that can be considered confidential. We have to offer something different, and we saw that we had a lot of people of in the area of construction, and they worked in eolic infrastructure, and they started, but they were tired of being there. So to try to adapt to that kind of profile, to bring it, I think it is also checking what are the opportunities in the market. And we found other problems. For example, it's not the same as with the SEC. That is a very small number, but also when we have other kind of studies, for example, engineering. And now, for example, when I teach in the place, the university is completely different. The classroom is different. And with that goal, we need to try to look for in the interviews more people with that perspective. And if we don't get this done, to make an extra effort to continue looking for in the in a further way. So we are about 40 people in this consultancy company, and this is a lot. In other areas we are small, but we are always having this oscillation of 30 to 30%, and it is to tell you how we are trying to do this from the private world and in consultancy companies. This is really important. Thank you, Marco, for your comments and thank you for telling us about the comments and your ideas. Now, we have the other side, the main characters in the practice. How can you include training time in the working day without affecting the production and so everyone is happy? I would like to tell you first, I would like to give you a little bit of the context in Mexico and how we have integrated to the Latin American region because we are um, in the private world. 5 years ago, we didn't exist. 10 years ago, we had 117 private contracts per block. And these 117, we have a change in the government 18, and that was a setback, and only we were successful with 9 projects. The others paid some fine, didn't find Petro, but in those 10, we are present. And first of all, we are very happy that in Mexico we are complying with the agreements because this is 2 out of the 8 pillars to have this hiring process. And sometimes we have just like one union, that it was the oil union and the electricity union. And any company that would like to be in Mexico or to have employees, they have to work with them. And the electrical party in Mexico, they had to sign the collective agreement with this only union. The International Work Organization help us a lot to break that down. And now we have this topic of the competition. In what sense? We as union, we have to add value to the cost, so the workers, because we are producing 110,000 private barrels, and that represents a big percentage of the total. 5 years ago, we didn't exist, and now we are with this number. That means that we have very interesting projects. We are part of them, and we can duplicate the possibilities that we have. And we had this work reform, and actually we were given, we pass all the democracy teams, and in these 2 new years we have another problem. We have to see towards the north and the south. To the north, because we have a quick mechanisms to respond, and then in 2 years we have several processes that are being reviewed in topics of democracy, union democracy. So if one says that the company is having some interference to be or to put, if they are being pushed to be part of a union, they complain and the experts come. And we have seen those 39 cases where we have to rehire people that was already fired, and we have dialogue so we can have all the entities involved in the same table, and we have remediation topics as well. It's really interesting because the truth is we have opened this possibility to do our work properly. So what we have to do is to add value to this relation and caring about the details, because all the companies that come, they have irregular salaries in Mexico. Mexico, we had 8 hours of work a day, and then you go back and come back for or the shifts. We have to adapt and we have to give added value to the workers, and so they can continue. And what I like the most about this is that the workers that we have in the hydrocarbon areas, they have gone to different projects and the companies are trying to get them. The future is the training and training and training. So the cancer of the companies, I've always said it, it's a personal rotation and we have to take care about the emotional salary. We are always thinking what to do to for the worker so the worker can respond in that way because remember that every time that you hire someone you are uh, actually selling your future because if you have a change in the work relation it says they say I'm going to talk to the family about this because the worker doesn't want to say this immediately like I need to talk to the family and after they provide answers so I think we need to include the emotional salary in this process in order to be successful. Thank you, Roberto. We are going to start the second round of questions with Patricia because you said something. So I understood that it was the two questions. And don't worry, we have the solution here. Roberto just mentioned the emotional solution. And you talked about another concept that I know particularly, and I don't know if everyone knows it, but I'm going to ask if everyone knows what is decent work for you guys. It is a concept that it's coming from Latin America. We had the honor that Juan Samadia was elected general director, and it's a beautiful story because each general director has to say some words at the beginning, and this is the opening speech. And if we go back to 1999 in our country, we have the commodities, uh, the we have the treaties of free agreements. We were going to negotiate NAFTA. That was an ongoing thing in that moment. And he had this concern how to set this work organization with a commitment of the companies and the world of the workers. He said, how can I? Because 100 years of story, it's long to tell. So in 1 minute, it was almost impossible, and it was secluded to, well, this is in the world of work, and it was another topic. But and he tried to relate other concepts to the world of work, and it has to be easy. It's not easy to have an agreement in the different language. We have three official languages and we have 187 countries members. So, and decent was a good work, but the work is the source of personal dignity. We don't say dignified because everything that a worker does to earn the bread, it is dignified. Even if you have prior relations that are not so good, for example, the cotton collectors or the domestic workers, the conditions are not dignified, but the work it is dignified, and it is the source of well-being for the families. Those families that we have decided to form, And when a lot of families have decent work, then the community, the territory, the municipality, the country, the continent has this great strength and social cohesion. So decent work, it's a pillar of the democracy. And this is, well, they are adding this concept as a sign of democracy and strength. So this is not part only of, it's not a characteristic that is only in the workplace. We stay there for a long time, but also this is a pillar of democracy. This democracy that not always in our countries have created enough attraction. So decent work has a very important concept, not only because of the working hours and the agreement of my organization, but also the agreements of negotiation in how we match the fact of being a worker and a citizen as well. So decent work, it is the goal, and there will not be decent work if people cannot work in an industry that is sustainable. And I think that we forget that we are sons of the Industrial Revolution and we forgot about the contamination of the fossil fuels. But now we have to accompany this idea of sustainable work that needs to mean happiness and that emotional salary that Roberto says we want money, but also to be happy. And this is the decent work idea. And this is current today more than any time before. Something is activated in your brain when you talk about decent work. And this is our historical mandate. Thank you for allowing us to be here. This concept was born in the 99 and it's still current. Now let's talk about future with Jessica. If you have to define the priority actions for the human resource to be the catalyzer of the transformation of the energy in the
Ciertos temas ahí, sobre todo si hablamos a nivel regional, lo primero es identificar y levantar la información respecto de las brechas de capital humano y de competencias que se requieren a nivel del territorio. Y para eso, bueno, hay distintas herramientas para levantar.
These things, they depend on the different tools that we have, and these are developed, the different skills, and of course we have different observatories that are done in the region, and this information is very relevant to be able to identify which are these requests. This information is important because the idea is to be able to do this training, not only depending on what you think you believe. And we are working on that with the agency and with the public ministry. This is the basis of the training plans. This is the first thing. And then we work with the human capital table, or we develop the local actors, the institution, and as well the centers of the state, these competitions and those ideas that have a global experience, people that have a global experience, and those certifications that can be done with certain units of comprehension. And what we have missing to be able to cover what's missing due to a technician certification in some of the areas that have been certified as requested by the industry in the region. This is part of the work that we develop, and we believe it's essential to be able to develop that in the future with a working plan at a regional level. This is one of the subjects, and also to boost and to get into detail in all the profiles. And I read this because in the study of this work sector raised by the industry, we have raised some subjects related with the global installators. because in all of Chile, we require that because this is the basis of our system, of our energetic system, and also the specialists of political diagnosis. This is going to be very strong from now onwards to be able to strengthen that industry. Specialists in the green hydrogen, of course, that is very strong, most of all in some circles of some regions of Antofagasta, Biobío, Magallanes, and all of that that is identified. We're going to be generating training plans from now onwards for the superior education and universities for the training into detail as technical training, even with technical areas. This will allow to accelerate the fast departure of some people into the market. Something else, and I believe it's something that sets us in the future, are strategies that are important and logic. Why? Because today we have technology that is quite important, and this allows us to be with children with experiences because we have many Oculus and we are developing work with the virtual leader. And today we're using this a lot with the training, the development of some skills. And I believe that there we have a wall to develop in everything that is the renewables energy and even the advance of everything that's been going on to see what is going to happen in the future. This will vary with the communities, and we have a lot to do. What else? Natural resources and the fact of strengthening everything. We need to continue with the human, the feminine plans, with the ministry to really work with job positions because we are, as you say, with a very large deficit in directive job positions, and we are up there. We have these type of levers, and we have a low presence with these opportunities that we have. That's the idea, to try to communicate them. This is the reason why we have some sectors at the level of the territory for a natural campaign, and each territory is going to have the request after all. Thank you so much for your attention. Jessica, thank you very much. What about the diagnosis of the state, the importance of having these figures updated on the situation will make us ask Marco, how and what do we do on this talent, not only in the companies, increasing the cost? What would you ask the state on the framework of these and the companies so the training is part of a profile, not tomorrow, but in 5 years? A question that is quite difficult. I would love to have the answer, but let us see. Uh, this is one of the things that we ask in the sector. The consultancy agency world can be a support of entrance, and it's a I mean, we train talents, and they have stolen them in things that we have trained. We've gone to companies to continue with the way they do things, and we are very happy to be all together. But we have some cases where that we review, and we know that in this case it's a consultant agency. This person had this profile, and here we want to retain him, and we do our best to try to see what is given the new generations to make it flexible and the home office. What to do? And this made us be part of our life and the emotional intelligence. We are not talking about the pyramids, and this is a bit of a context. And of course, that's the idea. What can we request in this retention of the talents? We have to start thinking about micro certifications in looking for the ways where we need to have urgent attention and not 5 years, and some that are intermediate, so the professionals can get to know if this is what they like. I still have quite a romantic look, and I hope that the people that is coming is giving us um, a transition in our current situation. We have this in Chile and then in Buenos Aires, and we have this in Latin America as well. And the fact of reaching this knowledge in these emerging markets, they help us with the relocations. And what about it? Uh, We need to move on to the learning curve because it's not part of the training, making it like the errors that we have lacked. So what about the professionals of Europe and the people that came to explain how is the industry? So this is where we wanted to work on with the certification, the Kenya, the professional practices and the payments, and with that be able to articulate that from the state we give recognition. So this can boost and will boost the ideas, asking why are we doing this, because the EBITDA is going to prevail and is going to finish asking about these three questions. This is not good. And this is something that is getting with the terms of what's going on, and the finalization of this consideration of these processes. If I forget about anything at all, it's a matter of trying to boost these phases of training that come all together, where the training may be a mystery, it's not a secret of state, and that's a matter of boosting and trying to see um, how are we going to move on certain space or some facilities so they can mobilize life in places where it's not only how they assist the telephone in Santiago, but there's a saying in Buenos Aires that God is everywhere, but only answers the phone in Buenos Aires, and the same thing is happening here. I'm trying to diversify these sessions. This is a current question. It is happening and waiting for the fact that everything is happening in the capital. Thank you so much, Marco, for bringing the practical example of what you see. And Roberto, with this, we will put an end to our panel. What is the learning that this trade union is living on the energetic transition? What have we done so far? I'm making sure about these projects. As I said, the idea is going north and south. In the south, what we have done is some hydrocarbons. Most of the countries in Latin America. In Latin America, we get together. Now we are in Santiago, and we agreed on the executive committee to be in agreement because everything are these state petro gas stations, and for the fact of being part of the that's an important thing. And I'm not interested in being a secretary. And on the other side, we say, okay, the one that is continuing is the Ecopetrol and is the general organization, and this is my moment. And in the meantime, I will stay here. When they come to us, they question us because as all of them, they bring the concepts, different concepts, and they say, okay, what about that? I mean, are we going to deal with the fourth level? Please do not degrade me that much. Let me tell you about my experiences. And the end, we said that send me your clinical failure because that's part of the petrolera. That's the thing, how we describe them. I told them about it, and at the end is that. And we have this general secretary, a good friend, Norberto Diez, because we have many, many experiences in total. Chile and Mexico, we know a lot about what's going on. We invite you out of the experiences that we have had. We invite him to a place that is Tobocas, Tabasco, and Marco Varas. And I mean, many colleagues that come to us, they went to the refining of what's happening in Santiago. They took a very large group of trade union specialists, Panama, Trinidad and Tobago, Peru, Ecuador. The Brazilians also came. And we are going to have a lot of work, and all these experiences are the integration, so we know, we get to know what the workers are doing and what is going on in the sector, so we can exchange ideas. And then to the board of directors, I see that you like them, that you like these, others they don't, but it's a matter of the workings. And given if we are there, the idea is to be strong. I just wanted to discuss the gender equity in our sector. We have the 8% in our sector, a very low rate of women, and we believe that culturally speaking, um, the man comes and works and is a sustainable thing. And so what to do? These are more mental. We have many codes, many types. What about this, the women in this sector and in the trade union and the 3%, most of all, is more than 20%. This has been added a lot, and it's not a. For example, in Matamoros, Tamaulipas, we voted 30,000 collaborators. And imagine, please, a place that is not easy to be here because safety is not what they need and what I mean, it's not as it should. And that lasted 15 days because out of these positions that the executive committee has, one this was a girl because only operates in Mexico, and the gender is all women. And if it's for men, nothing will happen. And we had to repeat the voting. It's not only the matter of safety, but the cost, and because to all of that, the trade union likes that. But I'm just telling you as an example. But I believe that with what I told you, we need to integrate much more the workings, the uh, opinions. Given that now I know about the ENAP facilities and I saw how they treated us, that gave me very good memories of everything. And thank you so much. I believe that that's the good thing, really. These events or constructions, together the academy, the civil society, not only of the integration and these structures. And for the sake of time, we're going to finish the conversation here. So really, we're getting together and looking for the ELADE for being all together, as I said, and we are really used to know this from the point of view being economic. So it's regulatory. What is going to happen? We're going to have many resources, economic, but we don't have the human capital. We are not going to reach to get to the